TNT.
If you ever lost somebody to the system or injustice, I know you can relate. Before you try to tear me down, look in the mirror, we all one. The only thing that make us different is the color of our skin. Before you try to take my life, officer, my hands are up. Don't got a gun, don't shoot. Look on the news, another unarmed black man shot dead, gone in the wind. No more hanging with my friends, mama crying, lost for words, hugging the casket that I'm in.
Welcome back, man. This is One for the Culture, man. I am your host, the one and only B-Dog, Big B Living, you feel me? I know a couple of y'all gonna get on me, man. I know it's supposed to drop last month, man, but I was back home in the city, you know what I'm saying? I was back in San Antonio, Texas, you know, and when I get back home, man, you know, I spend a lot of time with my family as much as I can, you know. I'm not able to really be around them as much as I want. Sure as hell not enough. You know, I've been moving around a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So the opportunity for recording, it really ain't been too many, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've been with my family a lot, but don't kill me, man. Don't kill me, man. We gonna for sure start uploading a little bit more, man. I wanna start getting in, uploading content once a week, at least once a week. You know what I'm saying? So forgive me, man, but you know we gonna make up for it. But I wanna jump straight into it, man. You know I got my local artist, man. It's my dog, my brother, man. Gotta tap into some of his music, man. One for the city, PMG Flex, man. You know how this shit go.
Talk to my dog for a minute.
Kato, you way too dope, kid.
A lonely road. I can't fight no more. Every day I've been holding on. Down this lonely road. I asked my brother to forgive me, cause I can't fight no more. Every day I've been holding on, but you ain't with me. It's been a lonely road, and by myself I was all alone. I gotta fake a smile so I can keep from crying. They saying be strong, I'm getting tired of trying. I question God why my people steady dying. He never answered me, he leave me in silence. It's been a lonely road, a lonely road. Lord, they left me on this lonely road, this lonely road, down this lonely road. Missing my dog more than ever. I do anything to bring you back. Give up the money and the fame to see you smile again. Them niggas did some shit and they can't take it back. So we gon' load up with 100 and go slide on them. See my mind racing, body aching and I can't stand it. I'm closed-minded, plenty people stay open-handed. They want my name, but they don't feel my pain. Say what you know about the shootouts and thugging in them trenches for real. Straight bullets passing your face, the shit that come with the feel. No luck, we trapped in a maze, you gon' survive or get killed. No wheels, you walk in the rain, won't understand how you feel. Make you cold-hearted, evil-minded, but you won't panic. You can't sleep, in your dreams you see your family. It hurt more, cause you can't hold them when you damage. You keep calling, cause I'm coming when God my brother to forgive me, cause I can't fight no more. Every day I've been holding on, but you ain't with me. It's been a lonely road, and by myself I was all alone. I gotta fake a smile so I can keep from crying. They saying be strong, I'm getting tired of trying. I question God why my people steady dying. He never answered me, he leave me in silence. It's been a lonely road, a lonely road. Lord, they left me on a lonely road, a lonely road, lonely road. I ain't forgot about you. I'm keeping your name alive, as long as I'm breathing. Left me on this lonely
PMG Flex, man. You know how that shit go, man. That's my brother, man. That's my dog, man. Tee him up, man. I'm gonna post his social media, man, down in the comments, man. Y'all go follow him, man. He gonna blow, fam. I'm telling you, my dog gonna get it. But topic of the day. I want to go ahead and get straight into it, man. I don't really want to I don't really want to BS y'all too much longer, man. I know y'all been waiting for the content, man. So we're gonna get it, man. We're gonna get it. Whew. Topic of the day, man, is before I get into that, man, I'm gonna get into the quote of the day. The quote of the day is, people always leave, don't get too attached. People always leave, don't get too attached. So with that, now I can lead into my topic of the day, which is attachment issues. Attachment issues. I feel like attachment issues is such a huge issue within our society. A lot of it goes unconscious. I'm sure y'all have heard me say that on the last episode, and a lot of it's rooted in our childhood. So let's get straight into it, man. Whenever we talk about someone's attachment, right, like, it refers to their ability to form emotional bonds, but also maintaining healthy and empathetic relationships, especially friends and family, right? But when someone develops an insecure attachment, especially early on in life, it can lead to attachment issues and affect someone's ability to form healthy relationships later on in life as they get older, right? So I want to talk about this one guy, man. There was a developmental psychologist named John Bowlby, something like that. And he originally described the concept of attachment, right? But it focused primarily on the bond between mother and infant. He described attachment as not necessarily a one-time event, but a process that begins with birth. At least, well, not with, but at birth. And it extends into someone's early years of life. And a child's relationship with their primary caregiver is so significant. You know what I'm saying? A child's relationship with their first primary caregiver, who is often the mother, by the way, which is, it actually makes us look bad now the more and more I think about it. Us as males, guys, fathers. But a child's relationship with their primary caregiver is so significant that it has the ability to affect the child's relationship and their attachment style throughout the rest of their lives, right? So anyone who develops an insecure attachment, it can interfere with their romantic partners in the future, right? Children generally develop healthy, secure attachments to mothers who consistently and efficiently respond to the child's needs. So, for example, picking up a child when the child wants to be held, or feeding the baby whenever it cries, right? Stuff like that. As I mentioned earlier, like, there hasn't really been as much research as it pertains to the process of attachment between father-child, right? But research and studies still kind of suggest that that process is similar. You know what I mean? Researchers study children and measured attachment by what they call the strange situation test, which was developed by a psychologist named Mary something. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know. So basically what this strange situation test was, right? So what they would do is they had researchers, they would have the mom and the infant go into a room. It wasn't always necessarily an infant, but you know, you get it, right? They would have them go into this room, right? And in this room, basically to describe it, was like a child's fucking playpen, right? It was toys, all kinds of stuff all over the place, right? And the experiment, they would have a stranger go in the room with the mom and the child, right? So the whole purpose of the experiment, they would have the mom in there for a couple minutes with the stranger and the child, and then the researcher would signal for the mom to leave the room, right? So whenever the mom would leave the room, the child would always go into distress and immediately start crying, right? Now, the pivotal part of the experiment, the significant part of this experiment, and what they were trying to examine and measure, is how the child reacted once the mom came back into the room, right? children who possessed a secure attachment demonstrated a strong attachment towards their mother, right? Now, children with an insecure attachment demonstrated a mixture of unusual and unhealthy reactions upon her return, to say the least. So this test that they did, it resulted in 4 types of attachment that they determined, right? Number 1 being the secure attachment. There's only one secure attachment. There's 3 insecure attachments, right? So 1, the secure attachment being the positive one, the other 3 being absolutely negative. So the first one was secure attachment. The child interacts with the strangers in the presence of the mom, but the moment she leaves, it causes distress for the child, and the child becomes very angry, right? So when the mom is still there, the child is interacting with the mom and the stranger, whatever, woo, but the moment she dipped, the child don't want to fuck with nobody. The child is crying. The child is angry and distressed. And anytime the stranger, who is the researcher, but anytime the stranger will try to interact with them, maybe pick them up or play with them, grab a toy or whatever, like the child was not fucking with it whatsoever, right? And then all of a sudden, the researcher signals for the mom to go back into the room, and the baby's okay all of a sudden. The baby stops crying. The baby's not in distress. Slowly but surely, the baby starts to ease up, starts to play with the toys, starts to interact with the stranger, with the mom, and then everything's okay again, right? Now, this is a baby who displayed a secure attachment. Another type of attachment that they determined was an anxious and insecure attachment, right? So the child became anxious in the presence of the strangers and rejects any type of contact. Once the mom leaves, the child becomes extremely upset, and once she returns, the child rejects her attempts to interact. Right? This typically means that the parent does not meet the child's needs on a consistent basis. Right? So then they discovered another insecure attachment, right? They did a couple more experiments with a couple more babies, and they discovered another insecure attachment, right? And it's one they would describe as the fearful avoidant insecure attachment, right? So the child shows ambivalence, and for those who don't know what the definition of ambivalence is, it's basically mixed signals, mixed emotions, right? The child showed mixed emotions towards the mom and towards the strangers, which was very weird, very unusual. It doesn't normally happen. And the child doesn't really want to be held. He or she didn't really show any specific preference toward a caregiver. There was just so many mixed emotions just all over the place. And what they discovered and what they determined is this attachment normally means that a child has learned that their efforts to have needs met will be ignored or neglected. So basically, anytime a child wants this or wants that or need that, the mom wasn't there for it. Or maybe she was there for it, but not as often as she should be. All right, and then the very last one, the avoidant insecure attachment, right? They discovered that from another variety of experiments with children. And with this one, the child becomes upset once the mother leaves, right? And once she returns, the child was relieved, but the child refused to be held, right? Like I remember I watched one video on the avoidant insecure attachment, and the mom comes back in the room, and the mom's presence is supposed to be the solution, but it's not, right? Like the mom tries to pick up the child, and the baby's still crying. The baby won't stop crying. Like the mom, she tries to interact with him. She grabs a couple toys, and tries to play with him. And every single time she grabs a toy and puts it towards him, he just hits it out of her hand. Like he's so angry and full of rage at the mom for leaving, right? So when we talk about these 4 different attachments, right? What do these attachments look like in adulthood, right? So when we talk about the secure attachment, which is the only positive one, as I mentioned earlier, out of the 4, someone with a secure attachment can form secure, loving relationships with other people. All right. A securely attached person has the ability to trust others and be trusted, the ability to love and accept love, and the ability to get close to others with relative ease, right? Like the idea of intimacy doesn't necessarily scare them. Like they don't panic if their significant other needs time or space away from them. You know what I mean? They possess this ability to depend on others without becoming totally dependent, right? Like this is the unicorn, obviously, because I don't really know too many people who have a secure attachment. Not too many people at all. So then we get into the first insecure attachment that I mentioned, which is the anxious insecure, right? And this person has a deep fear of abandonment. They're extremely insecure about their relationships, often worrying that their partner will wind up leaving, which produces a need for validation, right? I know a lot of these people. Like an anxious attachment is often associated with, how do I say it? Like neediness or clingy behavior, right? So like, for example, someone who has a constant need for physical affection, right? Like they're wanting to be laid up 24/7, or they feel like wherever I go, like if you're not touching me, like fam, I'ma just feel like you don't give a fuck about me. Excuse my language. I ain't trying to, you know what I'm saying, whatever. But yeah, so that's an example. Another one, like they always blowing up your phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, or they get anxious when you don't text them back fast enough. It's like, okay, what they doing? What they, who they talking to? Who they, whatever, right? Or they can't stand when you go out without them. You know what I'm saying? It's like they got to do every little thing with you, or they try to include themselves in your plans. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, so they ain't even. I give you together, I give you, whatever they will, but motherfuckers just included themselves in my plans, and they ain't even speak of it, and they do this constantly, like all the time, right? Or someone who this a killer. Someone who has a constant need for reassurance, right? It's like, fam, I need you to constantly reassure me of how you feel about me, or how much you care about me, or how much you love me, or how much you're gonna stick by me in times of distress or whatever. It's a constant reassurance thing for them, right? Like this is somebody with an anxious, insecure attachment. So then we go to the next insecure attachment, right? Which is the avoidant attachment. And somebody with this type of attachment, it's normally rooted in the fear of intimacy. So these people tend to struggle getting close to other people and forming emotional bonds and emotional connections. Right? Like the idea of a committed relationship can feel suffocating, and it scares the fuck out of them. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll typically maintain a level of distance from significant others, maybe even friends, in order just to feel safe. You know what I'm saying? Like in most situations, they're emotionally unavailable, and they just prefer to be independent. You know what I'm saying? And just kind of rely on themselves and not necessarily anybody else. You know what I mean? So like, for example, somebody with this type of attachment, they rather deal with difficult situations alone. So like when they're grieving, or they didn't just dealt with trauma, or they've been neglected or abused, or whatever the situation is, any type of discomfort, any type of pain, they just rather deal with it alone. You know what I'm saying? That's what someone with this attachment will do. Another example, like they'll start to feel their partners being like clingy if their partner attempts to strengthen like their emotional bond. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if a partner goes out of his way, maybe he or she don't even go out of their way. If the partner just wants to advance to that next level, you know what I'm saying, and really just strengthen their bond and their connection, and move forward with their relationship just to get it to a new level, somebody with this insecure attachment gonna feel like, hold on, fam, you're doing a little too much. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you you know what I'm saying? You're doing a little too much. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody with this attachment, like they have the difficulty of expressing themselves, like their emotions, their thoughts. Or somebody who's dealing with some somebody who's dealing with somebody, like, they'll avoid meeting their family, right? Like, because the idea of commitment and it's just too much intimacy for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a fear for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a no-go. Or they're really, really big on boundaries. Like, that's a big one. They really, really, really big on boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like, you stay in this box. Don't come over. Don't cross. Don't do nothing. You stay where you at. You know what I'm saying? The last insecure attachment is what's known as the fearful avoidant, which we talked about earlier. And it's basically a mixture of both the anxious and avoidant insecure attachments. So people with this type of attachment style, basically, they fear intimacy just as much as they crave it. They crave affection and meaningful relationships, but at the same time, it's like they try so hard to avoid it at all costs. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, somebody with this type of insecure attachment, they have a tendency to self-sabotage. So when I say that, I mean, like, they seek out faults and wrongdoings in friends and partners so they can have an excuse to leave the relationship. It could be the smallest thing in the world. It may be something that ain't even that big. You know what I'm saying? Something that they could work through, or something, you know, whatever, something that happened a long ass time ago that they bring it back up, or whatever. But it's a way to keep themselves safe. It's like, all right, no, like, I done been here too long, or I'm fam, like, we getting nah, this ain't the move. So they self-sabotage their situation. Or like another one, as I mentioned earlier, like, a fearful avoidant will live in a state of ambivalence, which is mixed emotions all the time. Mixed signals, mixed thoughts, mixed everything. Like, it's just all over the place. Or like, they're reluctant and hesitant towards commitment. Like, the idea of commitment just scares the hell out of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, or another example, like, they withdraw when things start to get too intimate or too emotional. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know a couple people, and I used to be one of them people, and I'm trying to get out of that. But it's like, all right, you could rock with somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, cool, you know, whatever, whoop-de-whoop. But it's like the moment shit start to seem like it's getting serious, it's like, all right, fam, hold on, we need to. But it's like, at the same time, it's like you want it so bad. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, like, I have a craving for this. Like, I want to be able to be in a committed, intimate relationship. But it's like, the moment that shit happen, hold on, fam. This, like, you know them people, like, one day it's like you text them, it's like, baby, I like you, I love you, I want to be with you. And then the next day it's like, fam, kinfolk, if you don't get this, I get what I was saying yesterday, but kinfolk, I don't know what you're talking about, so you need to get the fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. Or they prefer casual sex partners, like, because if you have like casual sex partners, there's no commitment. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do you, I do me, you know, whatever. Okay, we interact and have our, you know, encounters from time to time, cool, but ain't nothing too serious, ain't nothing too intimate, ain't nothing too emotional, so I could, okay, cool, we could, you know, whatever we do. And this is like, this is like a hot, cold personality, you know what I'm saying? It's like, one day I feel like this, and the next day it's like this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, the shit is all over the place, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just be all over the place, like, mixed emotions to the fullest. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now that I didn't explain all four of these attachment styles, you know what I'm saying? Like I mentioned earlier, only one of them is secure. The rest of them are insecure. Only one of them is positive. The other three is negative. And it's like, now that we understand all types of the attachment styles, we see it and how it manifests throughout our lives, right? So for some people, insecure attachments aren't mutually exclusive to just relationships and their relationships to people. It can also affect other areas of their lives. So, like, for example, I'm trying my hardest to become a secure person, right? I want to believe that you can trust people. I'm trying my hardest to believe that you can trust people. I don't believe that everyone can't be trusted, excuse me. that seems to be like the motto, you know, especially in our society. That's what's pushed. Like, you can't trust people, you can't, you know, whatever. And I'm trying to get out of that, but I got some ways to go. And one of my biggest deals, and one of the things I'm trying to overcome, is commitment issues, right? So when I say someone with an insecure attachment, it isn't necessarily mutually exclusive to relationships and your relationships to people. When I talk about commitment issues, that isn't just towards my friendships or my relationships. Like, I've had commitment issues with football. I've had commitment issues with my academics. I've had commitment issues, as I mentioned, with my friends, my family, my relationships. Like, the idea of commitment, the concept of commitment, is something that I've struggled with severely. And there's been a couple times where I've self-sabotaged myself, you know what I mean? And it was solely to just keep me safe. You know, this was just to keep myself sane and keep me in a safe place. It's like, all right, like, I want this, but if I get this, I don't want to be hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that I've had to overcome, and I'm still overcoming it. You know, I still got some ways to go. I'm not all the way there yet, but that's why I say, man, it's so important to go to therapy, man. I think therapy is an extremely beneficial tool, man. You got to use it, you know what I'm saying? Because in therapy, they can help you overcome a lot of these issues. They can help you figure out where the root of a lot of these issues are. You know what I'm saying? Where they come from, how they got there. They can help you understand your emotions and why you're feeling certain ways towards certain people, certain situations. That's why therapy is extremely important, man. I'm gonna continue to push it on this pod for as long as I can. You know what I'm saying? Because that's really important, man. So I want to wrap it up, man. But before I go, man, I want to shout out, man. There's a female, man, I know back home, man, Ajani. She got her own business, man. She got a couple business now, man. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I put her information down below. You know what I'm saying? Her IG, her websites, everything, man. Y'all go ahead and tap in with her, man. She got her own clothing line, man. She got her waxing business, man. Doing great things, man, back home, man. So I want to see her succeed, man. I want to help and support as much as I can. So I'm gonna go ahead and put her information down low, man. But yeah, man, my call to action, man, for this week, man, would simply be just introspection, man. Just self-examination, man. Now that you know what the 4 different types of attachments are, which one are you? You know what I'm saying? And once you discover which one you are, you know what I mean, or at least which one you're most like, the goal is to become secure, right? The goal is to have a secure attachment. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't fall in that category and you're one of the other 3, then obviously we got work to do, right? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff that we got to figure out for ourselves, and it's important to be patient with ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that go on in our life. There's a lot of problems, issues, conflicts that are rooted from our childhood and our growing up and how we were raised. So it's important to be patient with yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to fix 20, 30, 40 years in a couple days, a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? So that'll be my call to action, man. And I appreciate y'all, man. I love y'all for checking in, man, and tuning in. We're going to for sure be back next week, I promise. Love y'all, man. Peace.